regular meeting. This meeting is being held via the Zoom platform and has been advertised on the City of Laurel website. The public wishing to speak on any items were asked to register at the City of Laurel website by 3 o'clock today. However, when I open the public hearing, I will pause to see if there is anyone on the line that would like to speak that has not previously signed up. With that, Ms. Quillen, if you would please call the roll.
Councilmember Sidnor.
Here.
Mr. Wilson.
Here.
Mr. Kish. Mr. Welford. Ms. Bonner.
Here.
Mr. Grant.
Here.
Chairwoman Bettman.
Here.
You have a quorum, Madam Chairwoman.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 2, the approval of the minutes from the July 12th, 2022 meeting. We have all received those. I would like to say thank you very much to our Secretary, Brooke Quillen. That was a long and intense meeting, a lot of wonderful input from applicants and from the public. I would like to note for the group, for the commissioners, that paragraph 6 was a redundant paragraph about the vote on one of the agenda items, and Brooke is removing paragraph 6. With that, are there any questions from commissioners or comments regarding the minutes? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the meeting minutes from the July 12th, 2022 meeting.
And I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Bonner and Mr. Wilson. Ms. Quillen, if you would please call the roll.
Ms. Bonner.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Grant.
Yes.
Chairwoman Bettman.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 3, the amended site and landscape plan and resolution number 22-13-PC 9000 Marshall Avenue, filed by Vilcon Family LLC. This agenda item also includes the public hearing on the application and a final action by the Planning Commission. We will hear the staff report first.
Good evening, Madam Chair and fellow board members. Amended site and landscape plan application was filed on June 3rd, 2022 by Vilcon Family LLC to convert the existing building to a grocery store, Mega Mart. The building is currently vacant. The building previous use was a bowling alley. The parcel of land consists of 120,109 square feet in the zone CG, Commercial General. The property is in the 100-year flood zone. The applicant is also proposing to revise existing landscape, parking, and vehicle circulation to accommodate large delivery vehicles. In addition, the applicant will be adding a new trash can enclosure and a loading dock. The new trash can enclosure will be located on the west side of the property. You can see the attached landscape plan. The new loading dock will be located on the northeast corner of the building. The applicant has outgrown his existing space and would like to expand. This new site is ideal for growth and expansion. The intent of the proposed location is to accommodate existing and new customers located at 9000 Marshall Avenue, Laurel, Maryland, 20707. Under date of July 19, 2022, a cover letter and building plans asking for comments were sent to the state, local agency, and a memorandum to the City of Laurel Department. Comments from the local, state agency, and City of Laurel departments are stated in the staff report. On August 8, 2022, a letter explaining the nature of the application and advising of the scheduled public hearing before the City of Laurel Planning Commission was sent by standard mail to all contingent property owners. All return receipts were received. The file contains an affidavit signed by the applicant attesting that a zoning sign has been placed on the subject property, has remained and shall remain until the decision by the Planning Commission. It is recommended that the City of Laurel Planning Commission approve the amended site and landscape plan for 9,000 Marshall Avenue, Laurel, Maryland, with the following conditions. The applicant should obtain all required City of Laurel permits. Parking area and access driveway shall be graded and drained so the surface water shall not be allowed to flow onto the adjacent properties per section 2016.10 of the City of Laurel Unified Land Development Code. The applicant parking spaces dimensions shall comply with the City of Laurel Unified Land Development Code. The applicant shall provide 88 parking spaces for the site. The applicant shall provide signage for all 88 parking spaces that indicate the type of space and fine. Lastly, the applicant shall comply with all applicable local, state, and federal laws and regulation development of the property. That concludes the reading of the file, Madam Chair, and the applicant is on the line for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Burrow. Are there any questions for Mr. Burrow before we move to the applicant? Ms. Bonner? Mr. Wilson, any questions?
Yeah, I've got a couple if I could.
Sure.
Christiana, did you just come up?
I'll swing back by her.
Okay. The first question is there was in the report, in the technical report, there was some discussion of removing the access from Route 1. There's in the site plan, there's an entranceway off of Route 1, and there was some discussion of removing that and only using the two off of Marshall Avenue and whatever there'd be 3 instead of 4. Mr. Burrows, can you address that? Is that going to be in or out?
The applicant, Mr. Wilson, is on the line and he can address that better. So I will allow for him to answer those questions.
Okay, let me ask my second question then too. Mr. Burrows, this one's for you. So I noticed that there's a bunch of mitigation, or a considerable amount of mitigation due to the floodplain. I was wondering how the city manages that analysis. Do we have people on staff that are qualified to review the floodplain mitigation engineering, or do we outsource that, or do we just accept what I guess it's Homeland Security said?
To answer your question, Mr. Wilson, before this project started, we had a conversation with FEMA, and they went through each and every detail of the proposed plan. And we would not have suggested approval if they weren't in favor of it. So we do have an outward source that we go to a third party that does look at that. But to answer your question again, we did have a meeting with Mr. Bryant and his team to address the flood issue with FEMA, and they were okay with it. So we was all in favor for this project.
Okay, do we have that in the staff report that FEMA has approved the mitigation measures? I just want to keep the city, because, you know.
We can certainly, sorry to jump in, we can certainly add that, yes, myself and Chris Cornwell, the emergency manager, have reviewed it with both actually MDE and FEMA is who we reviewed it with.
As long as we get that in the staff report,
sure.
Then, you know, heaven forbid because that is a difficult spot there with the runoff there on the, I guess that's on the east side of the property. Mm-hmm. We're going to flood right up that culvert. Okay.
I think to the north.
Oh,
I think we can put that in there, and we can actually we can add that to the resolution also.
Okay. Yeah, just to make sure that we've, you know, hey, we've talked to these folks. They say it's good. The applicant's going to do it, and then we're all covered. And if the applicant wants to address the
Rick, hold on, Rick. Before we go to the applicant on that,
okay.
I'd like to bring that back to both Mr. Burrow and Mr. Love, because that the current access, there are multiple tenants that use that. So I'm not sure why the applicant would be the one that would be making a decision if the city is going, if we're going to close that or open that or close that often anyway. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm just saying there was a suggestion, or I don't know if it
Oh,
was
I
a
saw
requirement.
that, but that's what I'm confused as to why the applicant will be making a recommendation or a decision on a public road that would affect multiple other businesses.
Okay, I'll back off and we can deal with that downstream. Thank you.
Okay, Robert, you see what I'm saying?
No, yes, I definitely see what you're saying. I want the applicant just talk how this traffic flow is going to go on and off of Marshall Avenue. I believe the concern was going directly onto Route 1 from, having the bigger trucks and so forth going that direction in the full flow. And I believe that's exactly what I think you're referring to what SHA
Yeah.
and DPW were both speaking of. Yeah. And that was their concern with that.
We'll hold till we hear from the applicant on that. Thank you. Ms. Bonner, Christiana, do you have any questions for staff before we talk to the applicant?
I believe Ms. Bonner might have dropped off.
Okay.
We'll check into that.
Thank you. Mr. Grant.
No questions at the time.
Thank you. Councilmember Sidnor, any questions for the staff regarding the technical report at this time?
No question, Madam Chairwoman.
Thank you. I would like to invite Brian Donnelly. I know that you are on the line. If you would state your name and address, and if there's anything that you would like to add, and if you can address the traffic flow, that would be helpful. Welcome.
Sure. Thank you very much. Yeah, my name's Brian Donnelly. I'm from McCrease Hendricks and Glasscock, 9220 Whiteman Road, Suite 120, Montgomery Village, Maryland. I represent the applicant and I'm the civil engineer working on the project. I guess when I read through the SHA comments, it sounded more like a suggestion as opposed to a requirement to do much about that entrance. If the primary concern is truck movements, we're planning on utilizing the east side of the property for any kind of large truck movement. They would, right now, they would probably enter into the, easternmost entrance on Marshall Avenue and then exit off the, onto Marshall Avenue on the, I guess, the south side of the property. And so all large truck movement would be limited to that east side of the property.
Thank you. So it would still leave public traffic there at Marshall Avenue coming in to access, coming off of northbound to 1 or to get back onto 1, I believe.
Correct.
Okay. And why that makes a difference, I believe, is because if another tenant goes into that sandwich shop that was there or some of the other things that are back there, it also, if there's anything that occurs at the intersection of Bowie Road and Marshall Avenue, allows for ingress and egress there too. Okay. Does anyone have any questions for the applicant? Hearing none, well, I will.
Quick question, Madam Chair. I'm sorry.
Wait, Councilman Sidner, I'm sorry.
I should know this question. Would it be a chain restaurant? I mean, chain grocery store, or would it be an independent grocery store?
Oh, good point.
It's an independent grocery store. They have other locations, but it is an independent grocery store. They have, I think, a total of maybe 5 other stores.
Councilman Sidnor, it is the currently, and Mr. Donnelly, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I believe they are closing the location.
That's right.
On the opposite side of the street. So it's the one that is currently the Mega Mart Laurel on the left side as you're almost to the rescue squad. And that is then gaining quite a bit of square footage when they move across the street.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you. At this time, I do not have anyone else signed up for the public hearing, but at 6:15 PM, I would like to pause and find out if there is anyone on the line that would like to speak on this application. Hearing no one, I will close the public hearing at 6:15. I guess we could put 6:16, Brooke. And if there are no further questions, I will entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, this is Rick Wilson. I would move to approve amended site plan and landscape plan and resolution and the resolution number 22-13-PC for 9,000 Marshall Avenue. That's followed by the applicant, including a few technical changes that staff will put in regarding the floodplain mitigation discussion.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Mr. Grant, are you comfortable with seconding this motion? I believe we've lost Ms. Bonner. Oh, I'm sorry, Christiana must be having trouble speaking, but for everyone, if you can see on the chat, Ms. Bonner has seconded the motion. Thank you, Ms. Bonner. Ms. Quillen, if you would please call the roll.
Mr. Wilson,
Aye.
Ms. Bonner, just give me a thumbs up. Thank you. Mr. Grant,
Aye.
Chairwoman Bettman,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. And Ms. Bonner, we can definitely read your text, so we will accept your communication through that way also. Moving on to agenda item 4, text amendment application number 262, ordinance number 1999, an ordinance amending the Unified Land Development Code ULDC to amend Chapter 20 Land Development and Subdivision to update definitions, update the residential use table, commercial use table, office use table, industrial use table, and the parking table. The proposed update is part of a comprehensive review and update of the city's zoning code. This is for recommendation to the mayor and city council.
Good evening, Madam Chair and Commission members. Before you is text amendment number 262 as required by the City of Laurel Code providing legislation to amend Laurel City Code Chapter 20 Land Development and Subdivision Regulations, Article 1 Zoning. So this is the 6th phase of the Unified Land Development Code. The proposed changes would be to update and add various definitions, as well as add and update the residential, commercial, office, industrial use tables, and parking requirements. Overall, there were 7 sections amended in this update. Some of the new additions to definitions and use tables include wineries, boutique wineries, commercial kitchens, and food truck lots to open up the different commercial opportunities within the city. We anticipate this being our last update that involves the full ordinance for the foreseeable future. There will be various other updates that come about, but they're going to be more specific to a certain certain sections as opposed to the code overall. I know this commission's been part of all the other 5 phases with us. Thank you for going through all this. This is kind of the last little bit that's wrapping up. It's not as I would say as bulked up as the other ones. So this should be the last one, like I said, for some time. But it is recommended that the Planning Commission recommend approval of text amendment number 262, ordinance number 1999 to the mayor and city council. Thank you. I believe you're muted, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Love. Are there any questions for Mr. Love on this text amendment? Mr. Wilson?
Yes, I've got a couple. In the tables, Mr. Love, the Ps and SEs and things like that might be defined in the ordinance. In the abbreviated one, that they're not in here. So I understand P means permitted, SE means special exception. What is the annotation of PHH in the table?
Mr. Love, now you're muted.
You got me. Yeah, so HH is it's a subsection. With that one, it did not change, so we didn't put it in there. So
Okay,
that's something that's not going to be changing. Anything that is a tiny abbreviation is a subsection, which is located in the regular one. If we do
Okay.
change those sections, we do tend to put them in the changes.
all right. The only other question I have is animal hospitals in the R5 zone is permitted. Is it currently permitted?
Yes.
Okay, because I thought
think-
we did that by special exception, but
That-
we don't really define what an animal hospital is.
I thought we had one. I'll check the definition on that. I know with this one, we just, a lot of these, as you can see, are just kind of the wording or whatnot was changed as
Right,
far as
right.
maybe having to define.
Yeah, I
it,
don't have a problem with it. It's just, I just went through it, just reading through it. And
I believe there is one animal hospital within the R5 right now, actually.
right up on, in West Laurel, on the west side there.
Yeah.
I guess we've gotten rid of landfills. Oh, the other one that was a little confusing was general contractors. I think we just eliminated that as it's just been X'd out. I don't
Just-
think, it probably never made sense.
It was one of those that didn't make sense. A lot of them we take a look at, is this actually a use or is it just a wording? I know through all these phases, there were some that I believe one time we had a use as a sign. It just said sign, so
Right.
we got rid of that. So a lot of that's cleaning up. There was, sometimes when you're doing these, you might not connect one to the other. So yeah, it's really just kind of cleaning it up. And I'm sure there's other things, and we'll find them. And I know people will tell us about them. So if you ever see
Okay.
them, but we think we've done a pretty thorough job. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but I gotta think we've changed 200 plus sections at least. in
Yeah.
these.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm happy to see that we've removed the right to doing a quarry in the R5 zone.
Yeah,
So
that was intentional. That was intentional. Yeah,
that's all I have. Thank you, Ms.
yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Ms. Bonner, if you just want to text, do you have any questions regarding the text amendment?
No, no questions.
Oh,
Oh,
thank you.
there she is.
Mr. Grant,
I just one quick question. Should
Certainly.
there, in the event that we see something down the road, how easily will it be to amend this?
You could just let staff know on that, and yeah, we will put it in if it's something that we need. An immediate. We'll push it. We'll get it as fast as we possibly can into that. But yeah, we're trying to make with these. Make it almost easier and quicker on making these changes sometimes, because you'll find a lot of times that some zoning ordinance take years for them to change. So no, if you see something offhand, Mr. Grant, you just let staff know and we'll take a look at it.
Thanks.
Yes.
you, Councilmember Sidnor.
No questions, Madam Chairwoman.
Thank you. I almost adjourned the meeting without a vote. Excuse me. If there are no further questions, I will entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I will move to approve text amendment application number 262, ordinance number 1999. And I want to thank the staff for a long-term review of all this and trying to get it squared around. So thank you.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Bonner. Ms. Quillen, if you would please call the roll.
Mr. Wilson,
Aye.
Ms. Bonner,
Yes.
Mr. Grant,
Yes,
Chairwoman Bettman,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. And we have no further business in front of us this evening. We'll see you in October. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Laurel TV.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
you.
Good night.
Good night.
Record.